this is Alexandra Kitty. Welcome to Officer Down, the podcast that looks at true crime cases where the victim happens to be in law enforcement. So this is a continuation of season 2's theme of police officers who were killed, but not in the line of duty. This could be anybody. So it could be, we've seen domestic homicides, we've seen robbery, and today we're going to see something a little different in episode 4. We're going to concentrate on PC Gordon Semple from the UK in 2016. So this is known as the Peabody Estate horror, when a dating app encounter turns deadly. On April 1st, 2016, PC Gordon Archibald Semple, a 59-year-old Metropolitan police officer with 30 years of service, went to the South London flat of Stefano Brizzi, 49, after the two men arranged to meet on the gay dating app Grindr for a chemsex party. What should have been a consensual encounter turned fatal when Brizzi strangled Semple to death during a bondage sex session. Over the next 6 days, Brizzi, a crystal meth addict obsessed with the TV show Breaking Bad, attempted to dispose of Semple's body by dismembering it and dissolving it in a bathtub filled with acid. He was arrested on April 7th after neighbors complained about a revolting smell emanating from his flat. Brizzi was convicted of murder on November 13, 2016, and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 24 years. 3 months later, on February 5, 2017, Brizzi took his own life by hanging in. So let's talk a little bit about the victim, Police Constable Gordon Archibald Semple. Gordon Archibald Semple was born on June 13, 1956, in Inverness, Scotland. He grew up in the Regmore area of Inverness and attended Inverness High School. At the age of 18, Gordon moved to London and initially took a job at the Bank of Scotland. However, his true calling was law enforcement. In 1983, at the age of 27, Semple joined the Metropolitan Police Service. Over the course of his 30-year career with the Met PC, Semple served various capacities, most recently as a constable in the Antisocial Behavior Unit at Southwark Police Station. His work involved addressing quality-of-life crimes and community safety issues in one of London's busiest boroughs. PC Semple lived in Greenhithe, Kent, and was in an open relationship with his partner, Gary Meeks. Semple was openly gay and had shared interests in BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadism, masochism, community. His family later described him as a very special person who was loved and respected by all who knew him. So let's talk a bit about the perpetrator, Stefano Brizzi. Stefano Brizzi was born on June 26, 1966, in the small Italian commune of San Marcello Pistorici in Pistoria, Tuscany, and was raised Catholic. At the age of 15, he realized he was gay, but hid his sexuality for years, fearing the reactions of those around him in his conservative religious community. Brizzi studied at the University of Florence before moving to London in 2012, where he landed a well-paid computer programming job at Morgan Stanley, the U.S. investment bank. In 2008, Brizzi was diagnosed with HIV and hepatitis C, which he described as a death sentence. This diagnosis appears to have marked the beginning of a psychological and behavioral decline. By 2013, Brizzi had become heavily addicted to crystal methamphetamine, referred to in the gay community as Nutella, a drug often associated with high-risk chemsex parties. His addiction spiraled out of control, and in February 2015, he was forced to quit his lucrative job at Morgan Stanley. Brizzi later joined a support group called Crystal Meth Anonymous in an attempt to manage his addiction. Brizzi also became a Satanist, describing his embrace of Satanism as a rejection of Christian values. At meetings of his support group, he reportedly boasted about his sexual exploits, including tying a man up, treating him like a dog, and forcing him into a cage. Brizzi was obsessed with the American television series Breaking Bad, particularly the scenes involving body disposal using chemicals. This obsession would later inform his grotesque attempt to dissolve PC Semple's body in an acid bath. Now let's talk a little bit about the Peabody Estate, Southwark. The Peabody Estate in Southwark Street in South London is a historic housing complex that originally opened in 1876. It lies just a few minutes south of the Thames, between London Bridge and the Tate Modern. The estate is located in the Borough and Bankside ward of Southwark, one of London's most densely populated and diverse boroughs. As for the crime statistics in 2016, the Peabody Estate area had elevated crime rates compared to the national average. Annual total crime rates, approximately 201 crimes per 1,000 residents, rated as 6 out of 10 or medium crime level. Proximity crimes. Over 550 to 600 crimes were recorded near the Peabody Estate postcode in the year surrounding the murder. So let's talk about the timeline of the murder and investigation. Friday, April 1st, 2016, the fatal encounter. During the day, PC Gordon Semple was on duty at Southwark Police Station. While at work, he exchanged text messages with Stefano Brizzi via the gay dating app Grindr, arranging to meet at Brizzi's flat on the Peabody Estate for hot, dirty, sleazy sex. At approximately 7, PC Semple sent his last communication on Grindr from Brizzi's flat. Shortly after 7 p.m., according to the prosecution, Brizzi strangled a PC Semple to death during a bondage sex session. The prosecution alleged that Brizzi was in the middle of strangling Semple when another man, who had also been invited to the planned sex party, arrived at the door. Brizzi allegedly told the visitor that someone was ill to send him away, then continued throttling Semple until he died. At 7:24 p.m., PC Semple's partner, Gary Meeks, tried to call Semple's mobile phone but received no response. Concerned, Meeks later reported him missing. April 2nd to 6, 2016, the disposal attempt. Over the next 6 days, Brizzi attempted to dispose of Semple's body using methods inspired by the TV show Breaking Bad. Dismemberment. Brizzi dismembered PC Semple's body in his bathtub. Acid bath. He filled the bathtub with acid in an attempt to dissolve the body parts, creating globules of flesh floating in the corrosive liquid. Boiling and cooking. Brizzi admitted to police that he had attempted to boil and cook some of the body parts in pots on his stove. Possible cannibalism. There were allegations, though never definitively proven, that Brizzi may have attempted to eat portions of Semple's body, earning him the tabloid moniker Cannibal Cop Killer. Neighbors on the Peabody Estate began complaining about a revolting smell coming from Brizzi's flat. When one neighbor confronted him, Brizzi claimed he had been cooking for a friend. Thursday, April 7th, 2016. In the morning, a neighbor, unable to tolerate the stench any longer, contacted the police. Officers arrive. The Metropolitan police officers visited Brizzi's flat and knocked on the door. Inside the flat, when Brizzi opened the door, officers found him wearing only sunglasses and underpants. Upon entering the flat, they discovered a bathtub full of acid with globules of flesh floating in it, human remains scattered throughout the flat, pots on the stove that had been used to boil body parts. When confronted, he allegedly told the officers, "I've tried to dissolve the body. I've killed a police officer. I killed him last week. I met him on Grindr and I killed him. Satan told me to." Then Stefano Brizzi, age 49, was arrested on suspicion of murder. April 8th to 10, 2016. On April 8th, police granted additional time to question Brizzi. On April 7th and 8th, Semple's family confirmed that the human remains found in his flat were those of their beloved Gordon. On April 10th, Stefano Brizzi was formally charged with the murder of PC Gordon Semple and with obstructing a coroner in the execution of their duties. So let's talk a little bit about the trial between October and November 2016. The trial opened at the Old Bailey in October 2016. Prosecutor Crispin Allett QC warned jurors that the case would require broad minds and strong stomachs. The prosecution argued that Brizzi had murdered PC Semple by strangling him during their sexual encounter and spent days attempting to dispose of the body using methods inspired by Breaking Bad. Brizzi denied murder, claiming that PC Semple had died accidentally during a sex game gone wrong. His defense team argued that Semple's death was unintentional and that Brizzi had panicked when he realized what had happened. However, Brizzi admitted to the charge of obstructing a coroner by attempting to destroy and dispose of the body. Taking the stand, Brizzi admitted that he had been inspired by Breaking Bad when he attempted to dissolve the body in acid. He said he had panicked and felt paranoid after Semple's death. The verdict on November 13, 2016. After deliberations, the jury found Stefano Brizzi guilty of murder and guilty of obstructing a coroner. Sentencing was on December 11, 2016, and he appeared at Old Bailey for was life imprisonment with a minimum term of 24 years before he could be considered for parole. The judge described the crime as one of the most disturbing and grotesque murders in recent British legal history. On February 2017, just 3 months after his conviction, Stefano Brizzi was found dead in his cell at HMP Belmarsh, a high-security prison in southeast London. Cause of death is that he took his own life by hanging. A Ministry of Justice spokesman confirmed HMP Belmarsh prisoner Stefano Brizzi died in custody on Sunday, February 5th. As with all deaths in custody, there will be an independent investigation by the Prisons and Probation Ombudsman. The case sent shockwaves through London's LGBTQ plus community, particularly those who used dating apps like Grindr. London Friend, an LGBTQ plus support charity, issued a statement. A jury at the Old Bailey has today delivered a guilty verdict in the trial of Stefano Brizzi, a man who murdered and dismembered the body of PC Gordon Semple. This was a shocking and brutal crime that has understandably caused great concern within the LGBTQ plus community. PC Semple's family expressed profound grief and loss. In a statement after his body was identified, they said, Gordon was a very special person who was loved and respected by all who knew him. He will be sadly missed by his family, friends, and colleagues. Unlike line-of-duty deaths, PC Gordon Semple was killed during a private, consensual encounter that had nothing to do with his police work. His badge, his training, and his 30 years of service could not protect him from a predator who lured him via a dating app. The case highlights the dangers of online dating and chemsex culture, where vulnerable individuals, including experienced, intelligent professionals like PC Semple, can be lured into life-threatening situations. Brizzi's obsession with Breaking Bad and his attempt to mimic the show's body disposal methods reflect the disturbing phenomenon of copycat crimes inspired by popular media. Brizzi's crystal meth addiction, HIV diagnosis, and descent into Satanism and violent fantasies illustrate how addiction and untreated mental illness can spiral into horrific violence. The murder of PC Gordon Semple on April 1st, 2016 is a haunting reminder that police officers, like all individuals, are vulnerable in their private lives, especially when trust is misplaced and danger is hidden beyond the anonymity of the internet. Gordon Semple, a dedicated officer who served the Metropolitan Police for 30 years, was killed by a man he met on Grindr in what should have been a consensual encounter. Instead, he became the victim of a crystal meth-addicted, Breaking Bad-obsessed killer who strangled him, dismembered his body, and attempted to dissolve him in acid. Stefano Brizzi's conviction brought a measure of justice, but his taking of his own life 3 months later robbed Semple's family of closure and accountability. As London Friend stated, this was a shocking and brutal crime that has understandably caused great concern. PC Gordon Semple's legacy as a dedicated officer and a very special person endures, even as his death serves as a stark warning about the hidden dangers lurking in the digital age. So just like last week, we can see that, social media has its dangers that not even people who have decades of experience or have training as police can get themselves out of. So it's something to think about, that being a police officer doesn't mean that you're protected differently. So that's all I have to say for this week. Next week, we'll look at a different case, and I will talk to you next